In this video series, I'd like to go over 5 things that I've learned the hard way in car ownership. This video series is geared towards beginner car owners. The reason being is I've had a lot of people contacting me, a lot of people commenting since I started doing these videos, and they seem to be younger and more inexperienced car owners. And I figured I'd pass on these things that I've learned the hard way, things that I wish I would have known from the get-go, that would have saved me money, that would have kept me safe and avoided accidents. Now, there's no real rhyme or reason to why I chose these 5. Next video we'll have 5 different ones, so it's kind of arbitrary. There's no real pattern here or anything like that. I'm just picking, things that I think are useful for people to know or people to keep in mind if they own a car or they're about to own a car for the first time. So here's a lesson I definitely learned the hard way. Torquing your lug nuts is not just for safety. Of course, it's important not to have your wheel fall off while you're driving down the highway, but there's another less known reason why it's very important to use the proper pattern to tighten them according to the number of lug nuts you have, and to also torque the lug nuts to the specifications that they're supposed to be torqued to. And the reason is that you run the real risk of warping your rotor or leading to premature warped rotors if you don't torque your lug nuts properly. This is something that has plagued me for quite a bit before I finally realized what was the problem. And it's not just you. If you take the car to a shop for any reason that requires the wheels to be taken off, you should be checking the torque on your lug nuts when you pick up the car. It makes good sense, not just for the safety aspect, but it'll save you a lot of money in rotors in the future, either buying new rotors or resurfacing the rotors that the car already has. So this next tip has the potential to save you a lot of money. Okay, so we all know we have to get insurance. Of course, we all have to get insurance. It's the law. It's a good thing to have. If you get in a car accident, it's going to be great that you have insurance, right? But what a lot of people don't do is once they get comfortable with a company and say you get a car and you get a bunch of quotes, and then you narrow it down to the cheapest, best quote that you can get, you go with a company. Once you do that, what a lot of people don't do is they don't reassess their insurance when their circumstances change, when their driving circumstances change. And what do I mean by that? Well, whenever you get another car, whenever you trade in your car, whenever you move out of state, whenever you get a ticket, whenever you get in a car accident, whenever you make any sort of claim, if any of those apply to you, you need to be calling again and calling all these companies and give them your new circumstances and get new quotes and see who's gonna give you the best quotes then. And the reason for that is that companies, they tailor to a certain type of customer, the insurance company. So company A may be great for drivers with a perfect record. Company B may be great for drivers with a car accident. Company C may be great for drivers that bundle their insurance and they have different things. Company D might be good for people that have multiple cars. So if your circumstances change and you don't reassess which company now would be better for you, you could potentially lose out on a lot of money over the years. And I know firsthand, because every time that my driver's circumstances change, I do that and I call around and get quotes. Sometimes it's a big difference. Sometimes, $50 a month or something like that I'm saving now because I went out of my way to call these companies again and say like, hey, I got a ticket. What's my new quote? Or I'm moving out of state. I'm in the military. I move out of state a lot. So every time I change states, I'm reassessing the situation all around, because even though I've been with company A for 5 years, right? That doesn't mean that company A is gonna be my cheapest when I move somewhere else. When I move somewhere else, company C might be the best company. So it's very important for you to reassess your situation. Every time your circumstances change, you need to be calling and you need to be making sure that you're paying the cheapest that you can pay, because don't take it for granted that your insurance company is the cheapest for every driving situation just because when you initially got the car, that they were the cheapest. This is especially important for young drivers, and especially important for people that have sports cars where insurance rates are high as it is. If you didn't already know, I'm here to tell you that if you need to remove the battery for any reason, you always disconnect the negative terminal first. The reason why you disconnect the negative terminal first is because the negative terminal is electrically the same point as the chassis of the car, because it's connected to the chassis of the car. So if I were to take this metal wrench right here and go from the negative terminal to, say, this metal post right here, nothing happens. because it's the same electrical point. I would not be able to do the same thing from positive to that, because that would be short-circuiting the battery. That'd be the same thing as going from positive to negative. It'd be the same thing as me putting this wrench straight across the terminals like that. If you did that, you're probably gonna ruin the battery, it's gonna spark, and you might even get injured. So definitely a bad day. So the reason why you do the negative terminal first is to avoid that possibility altogether. You remove that possibility from happening. So you remove the negative terminal first, and again, if you touch the chassis in the process, no big deal. It's the same electrical point anyhow. Once you get it out of the way, if in the process of removing the positive terminal, you hit the metal, it wouldn't matter, because the car is no longer connected to the battery because you already disconnected the negative terminal. That's the reason why you remove the negative terminal first. And it's also equally important to plug in the positive first in reverse if you plug them both back in. So you would put in the positive first and then the negative for the same exact reason. You don't want to run the risk of the car short-circuiting the battery while you're putting your positive terminal in after you did the negative. So that's why when you put it back, you kind of do it in reverse. You would put your positive first, and then you would complete the circuit by connecting your negative terminal. Changing your oil according to your maintenance schedule is probably one of the most important things you can do to prolong the life of your vehicle, okay? Especially if you have an older car. And what this tip is obviously we all know we have to change our oil, but what kind of oil we use. And this tip is that synthetic oil is far superior to conventional oil. And just a little bit of internet research can show you exactly why, and can show you to the extent that it's beneficial to use synthetic oil over conventional oil. Now I can tell you right now from my own experience that I have gone 8,000 to 10,000 miles between oil changes using full synthetic oil, and I'm telling you that the oil, when I change it, looks as good as it did on the day that I put it in. And there's tests that you can see online that show you that sometimes synthetic oil after 20,000 miles is better coming out of the car better than conventional oil brand new. So there is absolutely no doubt that synthetic is the way to go for your vehicle's life. Now, if you have a warranty that requires you to get your oil changed by a professional, make sure you get synthetic oil used for that warranty. But if you don't, and if you have to do it at a certain interval, then you have to do it at a certain interval. Like in my case, I got the WRX, but I have to change the oil every 6,000 miles so that they will honor the warranty for the engine and for the car. So I don't have a choice. Every 6,000 miles I have to go get my oil changed. But if I didn't have to do that, I would probably go 8,000 to 10,000 miles because I would use synthetic oil, high quality synthetic oil. I'm not endorsing one brand or another. Any brand will do it, and you can do your research as to which brand you're faithful to or you like. But the key is just to use synthetic oil. It'll go a long way in extending the life of your engine, and it'll also save you some money because you don't have to perform the oil change so frequently, especially if you have an older vehicle. So one thing that a lot of people take for granted for one reason or another is the cabin air filter. The cabin air filter is usually, in most cars, is behind the glove box, and it's very easy to get to. Once you remove the glove box, which is usually pretty easy to do also in most cars that I've owned anyhow, the glove box has been very simple to take out. So in this car, it's very simple. You just pull it out. So once you do that in your particular car, usually the air filter, the cabin air filter, will be right back there. And it looks like that. So this cabin air filter looks pretty good, right? This is a fairly new car, so this looks pretty good. But I've bought cars before, used cars, and that's usually one of the first things I do after I buy a used car is I'll pull out the cabin air filter, because I know that a lot of people don't do this. And sure enough, almost every time, this is completely caked over with leaves, with dust, with dirt, with dead things. You wouldn't run your AC in your house like this, so why would you do that to your car? And for the same reason, right? When your AC has to work against the resistance caused by all that crap on the air filter, it loses efficiency. And when it loses efficiency, now your compressor is cycling on more often in your car when you're using your AC, which means you're wasting gas. Plain and simple, it comes down to money. So by not keeping your air filter maintained, by not maintaining your air filter, you're paying for it at the pump. So, and this is a few dollars, especially if you order like online. So there's no need to not have a clean air filter, cabin air filter in your car. So that's it. I hope you picked up something along the way. If you have any other tips or things that you think a beginner car owner should know, put it in the comment section below, and maybe I'll learn something along the way too, and maybe it'll make a future video and I'll credit you for it. I appreciate you watching. I have a lot of things in the works, a lot of projects. I have several pages worth of ideas. I have a moped that I'm going to be rebuilding, and that's going to generate a lot of how-to videos. I have a video series in car photography and photography in general that I'm working on. I have more WRX CVT videos in the works too, and I'm working on a vlog. I'm working on a lot of things, so subscribe if you think any of this is valuable to you. Give the video a like if it was valuable to you, and I really appreciate it. And until next time, take care.